In this video, we explore one of the most fascinating dimensions of Ibn Arabi's metaphysics, the world of imagination and the subtle body that allows access to it. What is barzakh and how can the human being journey into this intermediate realm between spirit and matter? More importantly, what does it mean that we ourselves are already part of this imaginary world? If you find this content meaningful and would like to support the growth of this small channel, please consider making a small financial contribution. Your support helps sustain deeper explorations into Islamic metaphysics and keeps this small channel alive.
It is clear that Ibn Arabi regarded himself as belonging to al-Khawas, the spiritual elite, particularly in his capacity to enter consciously and deliberately into the imaginal realm, al-khayal. He provides specific details about when and how he first gained access to what he variously calls God's vast earth, the earth of reality, or the realm of symbols. He even states that once he entered this realm, he never left it and never will. According to his own account, this decisive entrance occurred while he was praying behind an imam who recited the Quranic verse, "My servants who believe, truly my earth is vast, so worship me." According to Ibn Arabi, the earth of reality, which is said to have been created from the surplus clay out of which Adam himself was fashioned, contains innumerable wonders and astonishing realities. So abundant are its marvels that they cannot be counted, and the intellect is left bewildered before them. On this earth, divine majesty becomes manifest, and God's creative power overwhelms the one who contemplates it. It is a domain in which countless things exist that reason would ordinarily deem impossible, things for which rational demonstration has concluded that they cannot correspond to real being. And yet, Ibn Arabi insists that all of these impossibilities truly exist within that imaginal earth. The rational faculty of anyone who enters this earth becomes bewildered, for one directly encounters realities that are ordinarily judged impossible. Such first-hand experience decisively challenges the presumed supremacy of reason. As Chittick explains, this earth of reality is in fact precisely the world of imagination, where discursive reason yields to the power of imagination, a faculty capable of receiving tajalli that disclose God's majesty and creative power. Elsewhere, Chittick notes that Ibn Arabi explicitly identifies God's vast earth with the world of imagination. In support of this, he cites the following passage, quote, "Whatever reason's proofs have declared impossible to us, we have found possible and actually occurring in this earth. God is powerful over all things. Thus we came to know that rational faculties are inadequate, and that God is powerful over bringing together opposites. When any hadith or Quranic verse has come to us and reason has turned aside from its manifest meaning, we have found it in this earth according to the manifest meaning."
The earth serves as the theater in which the Gnostics' visions unfold. Its uniqueness lies in the fact that it permits contemplation and knowledge of divine manifestations without annihilating the perceiver's awareness.
According to Ibn Arabi, the theophanic vision that occurs here does not efface the contemplative subject. Rather, it renders one more firmly present to oneself. Within this realm, nothing perishes, and everything is alive and articulate. Ibn Arabi explains that for the one who has entered it, quote, "Every stone, every tree, every village, every single thing he comes across, he may speak with this earth, has the gift of conferring on whomsoever enters, the ability to understand all the tongues that are spoken there. The communication and theophanic experiences encountered in this realm are fundamentally religious in nature, even if this is not immediately evident. It is difficult to exaggerate the central importance of the Kaaba in Islam, and this significance is especially pronounced in Ibn Arabi's case. His mystical experiences in relation to the Kaaba, whether on the physical or imaginal plane, proved decisive and became a foundational source for his Sufi metaphysics. For now, it is enough to note that, according to Ibn Arabi, encounters within the earth of Hakika generate a profound theosophy, a direct wisdom concerning God. Speaking of one who has entered this contemplative domain, Ibn Arabi writes, quote, "His knowledge of God has increased by something he had not previously envisioned. I do not think that understanding ever penetrates in depth with a speed comparable to that with which it proceeds when it comes about in that earth of which I am speaking. There exists the transformative importance of this earth of Hakika for the spiritual traveler. The increase in knowledge gained there is crucial for preparing the mystic for the true realization of being. The experience of rational impossibility within this realm, where opposites coexist, teaches that God has the power to unite contraries."
Consequently, when the knower returns from the earth of truth to the ordinary world, one returns changed. One acquires a new logic. One will no longer dismiss something as impossible in the sensory realm, because one has already witnessed its possibility.
During one's sojourn in this imaginal domain, the mystic beholds the possibility of the impossible. For example, the manifestation of meanings in visible forms. This vision prepares one to receive theophanies even outside the explicitly imaginal state. Yet it must be remembered that the entire cosmos is itself non-delimited imagination. One never truly steps outside the authority of imagination. What the mystic ultimately gains is insight into the coincidentia oppositorum, the unity of opposites, enabling him to perceive God as the one, the many, the mazahir, loci of manifestation, as he, not he, and the inseparable unity of tanzi and tashbih. Beyond his claim that entry into the world of imagination leads to an increase in divine knowledge, already enough to challenge any denial of its religious character, Ibn Arabi offers an additional reason why the earth of reality holds decisive theological importance. He highlights an ontological dimension of alam al-khayal. The one who dwells there comes to realize his total servitude before God, thereby embodying the truth of Islam, that is, submission. Ibn Arabi writes, quote, "Servitude is complete and pure submission, in conformity with the very essence of the servant's nature. It is only realized by those who inhabit God's vast earth. This is the earth of God. Whoever dwells there has realized true servitude with regard to God, and God joins that person to himself, because he has said, 'My servants who believe, truly my earth is vast, so worship me,' alluding in these words to the earth of which I am speaking. I myself have been worshiping God in this place ever since the year 590, and we are now in the year 635. This earth is imperishable and immutable. That is why God has made it the abode of his servants and the place of his worship. The reference to servants who believe, those endowed with iman or faith, is significant. It is through the strength of iman, described by Ibn Arabi as a divine light in the heart, that one gains access to this vast earth and fulfills the divine command of the aforementioned Quranic verse. By virtue of the divine name al-Mu'min, the giver of faith and security, the pure servant is enabled to realize this command in its fullness. From this and the surrounding discussion, it becomes clear that, for Ibn Arabi, dwelling upon this earth, which he identifies as the deeper meaning of such an aforementioned Quranic verse, is the only way to actualize ubudiyya, the radical condition of servanthood. He defines ubuda as perfect and immediate conformity to divine order without a hint of disobedience, and holds that the highest spiritual station is for God to preserve in the servant the constant awareness of his servanthood.
Since the servant is utterly dependent upon the Lord, God's vast earth becomes the privileged domain in which this ontological dependence is fully realized. Submission and servitude naturally flow from such realization.
In light of this, it is difficult to argue that the world of imagination lacks religious substance. On the contrary, the aforementioned Quranic verse subtly points to what Ibn Arabi makes explicit. God's vast earth is the true locus of worship and the arena in which authentic servanthood is fulfilled. In explaining the nature of this realm, Ibn Arabi points to the existence and function of a subtle or imaginal body through which one gains access to it. Since the earth of reality is permanent and imperishable, it cannot admit entry to physical bodies composed of clay, bodies that are by definition perishable. Rather, this world admits only forms of the same quality as that of its own universe or of the world of spirits. Thus, beings from Alamul Ghaib, such as angels and intelligibles, may descend into Alamul Khayal, just as subtle bodies corresponding to that imaginal order may ascend into it. These are not corporeal forms in the ordinary sense, but bodies of a finer ontological texture. Ibn Arabi clearly affirms the human capacity to disengage through disciplined spiritual practice from exclusive identification with the material body. He explicitly links access to Alamul Khayal with Sufi realization. The first condition for entering that earth is mystical gnosis and withdrawal from attachment to the corporeal frame. Because the human being is not reducible to his physical body, but may instead identify with his spirit or soul, the mystic enters this realm spiritually. The fleshly habitation remains behind in the terrestrial world, while the subtle self becomes immaterialized. Yet Alam al-Khayal is itself the barzakh, the intermediate isthmus between Alam al-Ghaib, the unseen, and Alam al-Shahada, the visible world. Consequently, the bodies that enter this barzakh, whether descending from the unseen or ascending from the sensory realm, are neither purely spiritual nor purely physical. They are subtle, imaginal bodies, ontologically intermediate, participating in both poles without being reducible to either. This imaginal domain is also intimately linked to the world of dreams. The forms perceived in dreams are not mere subjective illusions, but beings clothed in subtle bodies belonging to that earth. During sleep, the soul is transported precisely to this barzakh, the world of imagination. As Ibn Arabi explains, every body assumed by spirits, angels, or jinn, and every form in which a person perceives himself while asleep, is a subtle body belonging to that realm. God has established this earth in the interworld and fixed within it a locus for such subtle embodiments. Our souls journey there during sleep and after death. Most strikingly, he concludes that we ourselves are part of its universe. This assertion opens a profound metaphysical question concerning the relationship between the macrocosmic Alamul Khayal and the human being as microcosm. If we are not separate from the barzakh, then imagination is not merely a cosmic level of reality.
It is also constitutive of human existence. To understand this fully, one must turn to cosmic imagination on the level of the microcosm, where the structure of the human soul mirrors the structure of the universe itself. The microcosm mirrors the macrocosm. The barzakh is not only cosmic, but human. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thanks to Sean Wang for his support and generosity. See you next time.